You know, finding a job in these tough economic times can be a challenge. And with today's in Canada unemployment rate sitting at 7.3%, competition is obviously very high. So with some tips on how to find a job and indeed how to keep it, we're joined by Geoff Bagg. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the staffing firm, the Bagg Group. Lots of people out of work. I mean, give us some tips on how you find a job these days.
For sure. Even maybe before going back to finding the job, just making sure that you're ready to find the job. So a lot of people don't realize that just about everybody gets out of work at some point. And being out of work in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. And it doesn't make you a bad person. You need to really wrestle with that and make sure that you've got the right attitude going in. Because when people are looking at you, of course, they look at the skills, but I think the attitude is going to be what gets somebody into a job and what gets them through the interview process.
And it's all about improving your chances, I guess, because it is a competitive world. Networking would play into that in terms of being prepared. How important is that?
I think networking is really critical, again, after you've gone through the process. So when you're ready and you can go out and present yourself in a positive manner, at that point, I'd work on the resume, targeting your companies, and then getting out and networking with the appropriate people. But I wouldn't start networking until you feel that you're really ready and you can present yourself in a positive light.
Have resumes changed? I mean, I see them come across my desk occasionally, and it looks as though they're more about character as opposed to background.
I think there is more emphasis on the character, again, because that's what companies are looking for. They're looking for people with the right attitude and that are really going to move forward in the position. It's not just about the hard skills anymore.
How often are people changing jobs these days? Because I'm concerned, you know, do people even work at retaining their current job?
I think that if people have a job and that they really like it, they're going to work hard at retaining it. And probably what they can do is, you know, look at how they stand versus everybody else in their department, their company. And it's always good to have ongoing dialogue with your manager. If you're not sure where you stand, definitely find out. And then beyond that, realizing that you need to keep investing in yourself, because sometimes things change and sometimes circumstances change beyond your control. If your company changes its strategy, you know, your whole department could get eliminated. Are you prepared, and would you be able to handle that? Because that's always a possibility.
When you're faced with that change, though, what do you do to address that and getting yourself prepared for a new venue? Is it education? Is it going back to school, colleges, those kinds of things?
So there's probably two aspects, the hard skills and the soft skills. So looking at the hard skills, are your hard skills current? Do you need to go back to school? Do you know the latest technologies? Could you fit in? Are your hard skills what's required in that particular job market, especially if you're re-entering the workforce? And then your soft skills, you know, what's required as far as the attitude, the work ethic, what's going to make the impression in the job interview, and what's going to say to them that this is a top employee, somebody that we really need to invest in and that we're going to work with over the long haul.
When companies look at this, though, the reality is that jobs are going to turn over. And people are always looking for new jobs, it seems to me. If I'm a corporation, what do I have to do to retain the people that I've got?
That's a great question. So first of all, I think corporations have to realize that typically people leave a company because of the relationship with their manager. That's usually why they stay or why they leave. And so managers need to really reach out and make sure that they're having ongoing communication with their employees and find out, you know, how things are going, what's working for them, are they achieving their goals and objectives in life and in the workplace as a whole. Because if things are off, then people are eventually going to leave the organization. So a lot of that can be just spotted by having ongoing communication.
So you're suggesting then that people leave jobs because they don't get along with their boss, bottom line. It's how often is it money? How often do people in these tough economic times actually leave for dough?
You know, everybody cites that. You know, I left because I got more money somewhere else. But quite often, we've seen our clients tell us that people will join them if they have a positive work environment for even less money. So if you have a negative work environment, typically you have to pay much higher than the rate, just the market rate, to keep people. It's not all about money. Obviously, there's a certain level, and you need to be able to keep that and be able to live comfortably. But beyond that, money becomes less and less of a factor.
Okay, in your practice as it stands right now, where are you seeing jobs being created?
So one of the biggest areas, one of our fastest growth areas, is in our IT placement area. So we're seeing both increase in jobs and also increase in salaries and wages there.
What about middle management roles in manufacturing firms? Because the manufacturing space in this country has really slowed down considerably, but it seems there's tremendous opportunity as well.
Manufacturing has definitely been hit hard, although there are some areas that are rebounding. So one of the areas that we're seeing is in the automotive area where it was hit very hard. It's coming back and continuing to come back. We'll see how we roll into next year with all the negative talk out there, but the numbers are definitely up.
The North American economy has gone from manufacturing, though, to the service orientation. Where are you seeing it in services? Is the growth in financials, for instance?
Financial services, so our banks have done really, really well. They've outpaced the U.S. firms, and we're seeing lots of growth there.
What other services are you seeing growth in?
Besides banking, brokerage, personal wealth management, insurance.
Yeah, all the traditional financial
For sure.
arms of things. I've got a son that just got out of school. He's got an economics degree, and there seems to be 1,000 of these kids out
sure.
there, I don't know whether you deal with these people straight out of school. What's your best advice to them?
I think, again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning, having a strategy and a game plan. So are they mentally prepared to go out and enter the workforce? Can they present themselves well in a positive light? Once they do that, what are the target companies that they want to go after? And what are some of the entry points? So one of the great entry points that we're seeing a lot of people use is going out and working even temporary assignments in companies, getting in, proving themselves well, and eventually getting hired by the company.
Yeah, but he wants to come in as the president of the company.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, exactly. Our expectations these days too high. I mean, days gone by. In my day, you had a degree from university. You could come out and in time find a job pretty easily. That doesn't seem to be the case.
For sure. So I was in university in the late 80s, and I remember them telling us, you need to get top dollar when you come out. And unfortunately, I graduated in 1990, probably worst recession ever. And people couldn't get a job in retail at that point that had a business degree. It's similar to people need to revise their expectations. And if your son or anyone else is prepared to be the CEO of the company, they should also be prepared to get into a great company, start at an entry level, and work their way up. I think any CEO would have done the same.
Which is what I've been telling them all along.
For sure.
Geoff, great to have you here. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Geoff Bagg is with the company Bagg Group, and you can visit the website www.bagg.com.